for KQ. He was an aeronautic engineer, and as such, there used to be some flats for KQ staff, and so that's where I was born personally, and so raised there for quite a bit, and then we moved on to Ayani. So pretty much, and then I went to the Great Olympic Primary School, and perhaps that formed the basis of who. And trust me, we schooled with some of the best. So like the entire Imba clan of 10 children went to Olympic Primary School, and excellence was bred there. And we schooled with, of course, prominence because there was the best that was put in public institutions. I do recall that whenever that head teacher wanted to be removed, our parents would come and picket. And literally, she stayed on at least until the time I was transferred when I needed to be taken to a boarding school at the age of 13. Then, later on, she got leave and everything. But the kind of foundations she set and the kind of parents who were there knew exactly what it is that they were getting from the school, and they really protected it with everything they had. So the only other thing that I usually say I wish they protected as much was the values that they were instilling in us, that they hoped that we would grow up in a country that then portrayed such values as something that the country appreciates. But that appeared not to have been the case. So again, today I talked to my sister and I hear her say that the councillor, because my sister serves in Mbakumi, and so she says the councillor says there's a guy who's late who used to live not too far from where my mother's home is, around Buruburu area in Huru. Now this man kept saying, he was quite a giver, and he kept saying, for every time he gave, he kept saying that you can never outgive God. That's ultimately the truth. So with those two statements, I wonder, at what point does the Kenyan spirit ever check in, and at what point are we a people? When we speak of Africa, I regard the greatest pride and honor I raise in being an African woman is the fact that whenever I am doing an African journey, I am doing one of philanthropy, I'm doing a culture of brotherhood, I'm doing one of welfare. That appears to have been lost somewhere. Yeah. So then I look at it in terms of what appears to be different with the people who've lived in the diaspora or who've interacted with the diaspora, with the African who's never stepped out of this continent or stepped out of it accidentally and wasn't able quite to draw lessons from it. If there's anything I know about myself, if I use myself as that example, and the people who raised me and those that I raised perhaps, is that there's never a greater feeling than than the whole process of being kind. When did it become that what I own is so much that somebody else will go so hungry that they will go and line up overnight at the doors of someone who is only stealing, maiming, killing, raping, doing everything that is wrong in their land? And this person bears the name of president. So tribes aside, and believe me, I get so annoyed when I still see the comment section having people who first process the fact that they think they're protecting their tribes. Bloody nonsense. Your tribe has never been good for anything. And if we start telling you what your tribe has done to some of us and what the tribe has done to this country, hell, you will know that you need to stop and listen. There's a certain community in this country who need to get off their bloody high horse. I'm sorry, I will go crazy on you guys. And sorry, at the risk of this channel being closed or whatever may happen, the good thing about it is I'll always remain Kenyan, and every rubbish and nonsense that has been done here will always be a part of it. I have no intentions of running, at least not just yet. The true reality is, everybody had better know that it does not matter how long you lived. You shall be dead way longer. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you own. It doesn't matter the bloody titles. You will not be here in another 50 or 60 years. It doesn't matter who you are. What will you have left behind? Will you have left your stupid tribe that came and messed everybody else up because they thought there was something superior about them? I keep saying here, I am first a Luo and Kenyan next. Why? Because that is what raised me. And that is what raised every good value that I have in me. The Luoness is the reason why, for me, blood is sacred. The Luoness is the reason why my neighbor ought not sleep hungry, and the child needs not fail to go to school and fail to get something tangible for them to hold on to in terms of values because of my Luoness. So by all means, that is important. But if your tribe has not carried for you a culture that you can be able to send to the future that will represent your tribe, it has embarrassed everybody else. It has stolen from people. It has proved to be unfair. It has proved to be self-centered. You had better shut up, especially if part of that is the reason Kenya finds itself in the doldrums it is in right now. We have that rat that God, thankfully, is clearing for us. It doesn't matter what he wears right now. God is trying to prove to Kenyans. Amekuja kueletea masaks zenye ameandika jina yake, na hizo ni pesa zenu, taxes zenu zenye amechukua. Lakini guess what? Nitamkondesha mpaka kichwa, mpaka masikio zitakonda zikae njugu, nikiona zikae straw. Mkiona mkijua kwamba mimi ni Mungu. So there's a God yule anatukondeshea huyo kinyangarika, akituonyesha kwamba I am the giver of life and I support health and wellness. And that is not anything someone can bribe me or buy. Kenyans need to come to this point and remind themselves, if your neighbor has gone to line up in Sugoi, if you have a relative who's lining up in Sugoi, because what you have is too much for you to keep, you cannot feed those people. In order for them to have dignity enough to know that this is a robber who has robbed them so much, they cannot feed their children. And that they are within disdain of going to line up for their money that has been stolen from them to go and feed them when it is printed with somebody's name. We have failed as a people. Let Kenyans ask ourselves, in our small way, what are you able to do? Frankly, I don't care if Kenya were to sink. I care more if a child sinks because Irene crossed them there with her 4x4 ride and decided, I don't care that child is bare feet. I don't care that I don't know what they ate yesterday. I don't care that that child did not go to school because someone sent them away, and Irene is okay because she's driving her AC car. I care about that. I care that that child has sunk because of that. Because if I raise that child, Kenya has an opportunity. Because that child is likely to be here 50, 60 years that I may not be here. So that is important. So in our small way, can we be the hummingbird? That is all I say as a rally call to Kenyans. Right now, there may be everything wrong with us, but in your own small way, in your own small level, what is your 500 shillings that you're doing that you're going to eat KFC and it is done and you go to the loo and you have to eat in 4 hours because you're hungry again? What is it going to do to your neighbor that perhaps it may not do so much for you? In the Kenyan spirit, within this season, let us remind ourselves that save another Kenyan. As we deal with the root of, in fact, as God is dealing with the root of problem, can we look within ourselves and remind ourselves what it is that in our small level we can start doing by just making sure that the next person is just a bit comfortable. You don't have to make them to live in luxury. Just make sure that you're preserving their dignity, that they're not going to sell their dignity at the table and at the feet of a thief, a murderer, and every bad thing that has ever happened in their soil that is now again referring to themselves as their neighbor. Thanks.
Yeah, I knew you itawasha moto. And just before you guys come in, sorry, I can't let that go without this one, Poleni. I have to do it, Poleni. I am so sorry, but this one cannot go unheard of. What she's talking about.
We are constantly being bombarded by problems that we face, and sometimes we can get completely overwhelmed. The story of the hummingbird is about this huge forest being consumed by a fire. All the animals in the forest come out and they are transfixed as they watch the forest burning, and they feel very overwhelmed, very powerless, except this little hummingbird. It says, I'm going to do something about the fire. So it flies to the nearest stream, takes a drop of water, and puts it on the fire and goes up and down, up and down, up and down as fast as it can. In the meantime, all the other animals, much bigger animals like the elephant with a big trunk, could bring much more water. They are standing there helpless, and they are saying to the hummingbird, what do you think you can do? You're too little. This fire is too big. Your wings are too little. And you're big, so small. You can only bring a small drop of water at a time. But as they continue to discourage it, it turns to them without wasting any time and tells them, I am doing the best I can. And that to me is what all of us should do. We should always feel like a hummingbird. I may feel insignificant, but I certainly don't want to be like the animals watching as the planet goes down the drain. I will be a hummingbird. I will do the best I can.
Okay. Maunga, thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution. Jiru, back to you. And actually, no, it's supposed to be back to Benson.
Let Njiru talk, then I will come back.
Yeah, siko nataka cause Maunga she has to go somewhere.
No, this
And
no.
I
Okay,
hope she'll
ni
be
sawa. Nataka kuuliza Maunga swali na pia maandamano kamili amekaa hapa na najua alikuwa anataka kumaliza hiyo story ya Ethiopia. I would like to hear her side of the story about Ethiopia, and then maybe I react from there after hearing the point. So sio kwa vibaya. So Maunga, let me ask you a question now before you go. Now you have talked about Zakayo and the way he has ferried food for his people na vile alikuwa na watu wengi huko kwao Sugoi. And for your information, I think that is taxpayers' money which was taken to Sugoi. So the question which I would ask myself is, what does it mean to the rest of the Kenyans? Like, does it mean like if a president does not come from where you come from, you don't deserve to get anything? Or like, what is the standard operating procedure of leadership when it comes to like how a president should give gifts if at all there are any gifts which are supposed, although I don't believe in a leader giving gifts because it's like removing from the left and putting to the. So can you tell me about what does this one say to the rest of the communities? Is it a direct sign of showing that I don't care about all the other people? All I care about is where I come from?
When did Kenyans become so destitute that they have to be fed off a man's granary, president or otherwise? What have you done to these people's lives to make sure that they have that food, that they're not coming to your doorstep? They're your neighbors. They're your neighbors. Raila has been our neighbor in Bondo there. Now he has a home in Riat. Have you seen anyone lining up to go collect food because they're hungry? It is said that whenever you call your kinsmen to your home, you've not called them because they cannot feed themselves. You call them to a feast because everybody has some, but you do not impoverish people enough to come and make them appear like they're your slaves of sorts. And then you brand the food. And yet you're the same person who collects their taxes. So, yani, you know what I usually say? Njiru ndio Shalini aende kwa choo. Ile tishu anajipanguza nayo. Pesa yake imetoka kwa hao watu ambao walikuwa wameline up hapo. There's no honor in her father dishing even a toothpick. Because that is their money. At least they produce money that this guy uses. What does that guy produce that they use? So the truth is, we need to cultivate in our hearts the dignity of being citizens. We are the owners of this land. We are not visitors here. Part of the reason I can't live abroad, I think, is the fact that I cannot give up the kind of freedom I have in Kenya to go and live somewhere where somebody dictates to me what it is that I need to get as a human being, that I can only get here, that I can only demand here. So my ability to fight for that comes from the fact that this belongs to me. And as such, everything about it, I am financing. So this man has failed. He has failed terribly, miserably. And believe me, I had Romeo say earlier, Atiruto has earned himself another kama atafika. Yo kukonda, unajua, tunajua vile Mungu wetu anaoperatingi. Kama atafika, you know, like when people throw around time, laiti hao, ambao wanajua kwamba.
By the way, he celebrated his 57th birthday jana. He celebrated jana.
You know, in fact, someone was saying that labda ni uongo. You know, kwanza nilikuwa nimesema. Na nilikuwa nimesema ndaandika hiyo quote. Vile tu nilijua labda nikiandika kwa mtandao itaenda I will be famous for the wrong reasons. Right now, suck your fame. Tutabadilisha, tutakuwa na Biblia yetu kama wa Kenya. Na kwa hiyo Biblia replace ile ya God is not man that he should lie. Ya Kenya itakuwa God is not Ruto that he should lie. So as a Kenyan, when I contextualize what that guy is, I don't even care. Vile anaka, munaona kama Ruto anakaa kama 57-year-old. Mumekutana na 57-year-olds hapo nje. Munaona anakaa kama Ruto vile anakaa amekauka mwili, anakaa ni kama crocodile na yeye anakuanga relatives mahali. Sasa hiyo hakuna venye Yesu anaweza kuwa alishindana alipatiana mwezi moja kuzaliwa na shetani kama hiyo ya Kenya. So that doubt for me it is quite there.
Irene, na kila mtu. Guys, tuko kwa 5 hours 47. What I'm requesting ni
namaliza mimi nikiondoka.
Ngoja wewe. Tulia, sis. Najua unataka kuuma kama umeendaga. I know you very well.
Wacha amalize, tunajua unataka kutuambia unataka kuanzisha feed nyingine. Wewe anzishanga, wacha ongee. Wewe anzishanga, wacha ongee. Tulia, ni sawa, ni hivyo.
Sana wewe unarukaga sana. Siwacha hata niambie sis kwa heri.
Tunajua unaongea story ya feed. Tunajua ni feed. Wewe anzishanga.
Anzisha nyingine haina shida kwa sababu Benson amekuja na studio mzima.
Benson si tupatane huko kwingine.
Sasa mnaweza, so wacha mimi nimalize.
You good? And then Mami, you good on the other side? Tupatane huko kwingine. I'm going to
tunakuonea 18. Tutakuja huko. Tunakuonea 18.
Na mimi hebu malizana na Irene kwanza kukanyage utakanyagwa my friend.
As I was saying, yeah, Romeo akisema kwamba those people at suddenly this man kufeed hao watu na pesa zao zenye ameiba ina another term. If those guys wamewekwa wakakuwa slaves mpaka wanaomba the basic, that is chakula, as in even their soil is so barren it cannot produce food, they go and line up kwa mlango ya mtoto mwenye amezaliwa na mwanamke kama hao, ama wanaume wenye wako na miguu tatu kama yeye na nini mbili kama yeye, wameenda kuline up hapo. If at all they can give him another term because of that, by all means they deserve it. Waende wakakue ma slaves huko. Tutakuwa tukisema after all Sugoi iko na wajinga, tutawalamp up together na tukue tuko sawa. Asante.
Haya, sawa. Ngoja kidogo, maandamano kamili, say something for 2 minutes alafu tuende hiyo ngambo nyingine.
Na Njiru ufunge vizuri ama nitarudi.
Well, my story might be longer than the time you are giving me, but I want to say something to Maunga. Maunga, this is a guy who steals from you 100, anakupatia 5 shillings. Anakuibia 100 shillings, anakupatia 5 shillings. And I was somehow skeptical or asking myself, hawa ni watu wanakulaga mchele ama wanakulaga unga? Hata food staff watachenjiwa, watapewa kile hawakulagi. I'm sorry to say so because I know we are divided in different categories. We know that Wakikuyu wanakula githeri, Wajaluo wanakula ugali, kuna wale wana Mursik. Yani we are famous on having our cultural food that we normally like. Kwani hawa sasa wamechenjiwa, wamepelekewa mchele? What is going on in this country? Hata afadhali angewapelekea unga, because I think unga deals with everybody.
Maandamano, kabla hujamaliza, I'm sorry to interrupt. Hiyo mchele ni ile aliimport. Na unajua aliimport plastic. In fact, hiyo ndio point nisikwe nimesahau.
Exactly.
Unajua huyu mtu anakuanga muuaji. So hata hizo vitu zenye hao watu wanadonetiwa, wajue inaweza kuwa iko na masumu yenye inafaa kuwaua, kwa sababu watakuwa na historia wakijua landscape hiyo mahali. Tuliambiwa that kila mtu ile alijenga hiyo nyumba, kuna mama alikuja kwa hii platform akasema ule mtu, kila mtu mwenye alijenga hiyo nyumba, hata mwenye alikuwa akipatiana mshumari, ati wote waliuawa. So our neighbors wasifikiri wako safe. Wanaweza kuwa tu iko venye wanasindikizwa mapema. Rais wanapatiwa ile huyo mwizi aliimport na pesa zao, alafu ni plastic.
Njiro, I think about Ethiopia. Let me go the other side if you are kind enough to open, then I can elaborate something. I wanted to make it clear. Is that in order?
Okay.
Njiro, umenisikia?
Pole. Nasema ni sawa, nataka Maunga aongee 1 minute tuage. Then Brother Benson hamisha studio, ivuke hiyo ngambo ingine. We need this studio. At least unajua pengine wewe ni cartel.
Bado kuna Njiro. Ndakuja hiyo studio ingine.
Okay.
Ni sawa. Unajua Brother Benson unaweza kuwa by wewe kukua hapa umetuletea makatels. We have so many good cartels.
Brother Benson, that is why sitaki kumwacha unchecked. Nitakuja huko kwingine.
Haya, ni sawa. Wacha tuweke nation one.
Okay.
Okay.
Afadhali mzee ambaye ni mtulivu, ambaye hana haja ya kujaza mifuko yake, ambaye atachunga masilahi ya watu yake, badala ya mdomo tamtamu, lakini